Oh, wow, it is bright. I did a practice session. It wasn't this bright. For those of you who are planning on speaking on this stage, either on this conference or next time, do not do customer dinner the night before or you will sound like me. I am delighted to be here. My name is Prayag. I'm the co-founder of Marvin. If you don't know me, you definitely know the plushie. There have been a lot of people walking around with this. You can find them at our booth. Marvin is a research platform that centralizes your research and your voice of customer data. We let you triangulate insight from across every channel and let you share it with everyone in your organization. And then everyone in your organization can query your research, your customer feedback in real time in the places where they live, Figma, Slack, Teams, etc. And if that research does not exist, we provide you a number of agents to help you collect new customer insight. And needless to say, our biggest audience and our best users are designers. Many years ago, and how many years, questions like how many years are not going to be entertained. But many, many years ago, I used to teach human-centered design at UC Berkeley. And one of the first things we taught the students at Berkeley was you should always, always talk to your users before you ship something, right? And so much so that for many, many years, my title and when the LinkedIn title didn't say CEO at Marvin, it says, please, would you talk to your users, right? And I'm not here to talk about how everybody should be talking to your users. We are all here today because we know you need great user feedback to build great products, right? That's not a controversial statement. We all know that great feedback or great design comes from great user feedback. But in the world of AI, most teams are being asked to ship products so fast that we know and we find out that something went wrong after the product is shipped. And a lot of time, we end up talking to users after the decision has already been made. And that's understandable, right? Like, we are all under pressure to deliver design to products as fast as we can because the speed at which we are building products has accelerated massively in the last 2 years. And when you're trying to build products that are moving at speed of light, you need to match what your engineering team is doing. And that is an impossible task if the key component of what we are doing is trying to talk to our users, right? So the natural instinct comes, oh, let's just skip our research, right? Let's not talk. Let's use the loudest voice in the room. Let's use our own instinct to build and design products. And the barriers to talking to users have always been really high. It has, for those of us who are building B2B products, we have to go talk to a customer success team, get them to introduce us to the right product, or you have to talk to your sales team, or you can pay a premium for research panels, find someone who's available when you want to talk to them, and then you hope that this is the right person, and you're not just talking to somebody who's taking your answers, putting it in an LLM, and just regurgitating what the LLMs are saying, right? Just to kind of get the monetary incentive. The point I'm trying to make is that it is, even though we have massively accelerated the speed at which we build products, the biggest single point of friction, which is how do we get real customer feedback, has not changed, right? And AI was supposed to change that, right? And I'm personally very bullish on the potential of AI. That's why I started Marvin. Marvin was the first research product that used AI in research. But it hasn't really played out the way it was supposed to, right? the speed of building still outpaces our capability to understand the people that we are building for. And even though AI helps, and having all of your customer feedback, all of your research at your fingertips helps, the AI moderation is getting a lot of traction. That helps. And look, I'm not here to criticize AI moderation. We have built an AI moderation tool, but even I would agree that AI moderation has been a little bit kind of, I wouldn't say overplayed, but it's the promise hasn't delivered. And it's exciting, and everyone is pitching it, including ourselves, how it's a way to get interviewing faster. But in the end, we are building a faster horse, right? Because after having built AI research tool for years, what we have realized is scaling interviews and scaling research is not the answer, right? AI moderator has always been a way to leverage user feedback, but it is a faster horse. And no matter how much data you collect or how fast you collect it, if the decisions are being made without the insight, then what's the point, right? So we asked ourselves, what's the automobile? What's the Ferrari, right? That's the piece that I feel like nobody had figured out. How do you collect user feedback in the exact moment you need it? So today, we are launching our biggest product update to date, the in-app AI interviewer.
Getting feedback from your users is so hard. Surveys are fast, sure, but fast answers aren't always useful. And interviews are so difficult to schedule. So you skip research and go with your gut instead. Until now. Marvin meets your users in the moment inside your product, right when they actually want to give you feedback. It asks the right questions and listens the way a great researcher would. They can show you their screen, their clicks, their confusion, and you get feedback from thousands of users all at once. Every conversation flows into Marvin and connects to everything you already know, all in one place. Ready to be analyzed and shared so you get the feedback you need to design products people love. Marvin, your guide to customer understanding.
Thank you. What we just saw was the world's first live AI interviewer intercept. It's a new product that we are launching today that lets product builders use AI to interview users in the moment. Any website, any product, and this completely changes the way customer research is done. So how does it work? It's basically an AI interviewer that connects with your web application or your website. It waits, using JavaScript, it waits for the right trigger. So a trigger could be something like the user is frustrated because they keep clicking the same button over and over again. Or the navigation is confusing because user keeps going back and forth. Or as simple as user has landed on a new app that we are designing. Then, as soon as it gets the trigger, it lets the user share its screen in real time. It records their screen. Right when they are in the app, it asks questions and asks intelligent follow-up questions. It asks these questions in 40 different languages, then sends back the videos to your Marvin account. And for those of us who are Marvin users, I see a few friendly faces here, you know that then it's backed by the best-in-class research analysis tool. And then, as soon as these videos come in, as soon as this feedback comes in, it can be shared in real time via Slack, Teams, Figma, Make, wherever your internal stakeholders are, in real time, the exact question that you want to ask. It's as if you are sitting right next to the user asking those questions while they use your product. Right? And here is why this is so revolutionary, right? Like, there were old ways in which we were trying to do this, right? We have in-app surveys, right? Like, a person or a user gets on a web page or clicks something, let's ask them what their experience was. We'll ask them for a rating, we'll ask them what's working, what's not. But the problem with that is we are putting the onus on our users to convert their mental model into words that convey their challenges, their frustrations, their wins to you in a language that you understand, right? And that kind of mental model switching is a lot to ask for. And that's why the response rate for in-app surveys are so abysmally low, right? And the fidelity you get back is so low. There are there are so many in-app surveys where you get hundreds of responses all saying something to the line of, oh, the search doesn't work. That doesn't help build a better understanding of our customers. And tools like Loom were supposed to solve this problem, but they kind of pivoted in a different direction. So this problem never really got solved. And so we have solved a lot of problems with AI, but the biggest problem in design and in designing good user-centric product has always been to reach the right users at the right moment. If you do reach them via kind of the old school methods, you're asking them to reconstruct what was wrong from memory. So let's say you're interviewing users after the fact. You've been able to get hold of them. You're like, tell me what went wrong. Now you're trying to have them reconstruct what pathways they took post hoc, like many days, sometimes weeks or months after they've used the product. But the best feedback comes from the moment someone is in your product, not in a survey that they fill out later, right? If you catch them when they're in your product, the fidelity is completely different. And if you've ever asked a user to explain how they use the product while they're sharing your screen, the screen, and you've asked them to walk you through as they're using the product, why you did this, why you clicked on this button, you know what I'm talking about. It's an eye-opening experience, one of the most insightful experiences a designer can have, because you're not asking them to reconstruct the experience from memory, you're getting the insight in real time. Now it's possible to do this for every single user at every single page inside your app. I'm going to tell you a story of how we came up with this idea, because I think it'll probably resonate. So the inspiration actually comes from my wife. This is not her, by the way. She wanted me to make sure that we tell this is not her. She says, by the way, it is weird how close this is to her. She was like, "Is this my pictures?" No, it's either AI generated or from the web. But my wife is a product builder. She's very particular about design. She's particular about a lot of things, but she's especially particular about design. And she knows the best design comes from listening to your users, right? So she had this clever hack. In her app, she basically had a pop-up, right? And as it said, if you have feedback about this product, I am sitting on this Zoom call, click here, join the Zoom call, and she would just wait on the Zoom call for people to join all day. And she would do that for days. And to be honest, she would get some users, but the friction level was so high that she didn't get enough people to join us. So I saw her wait kind of days on end, waiting for users to join to give her this real-time feedback, right? And I watched her relentlessly trying to talk to users and no results. And I was like, as every entrepreneur, there's got to be a better way, right? And look, everybody said research was too slow, AI made it faster, but that wasn't the problem. Now everyone's saying research doesn't scale. That's not the problem either. The problem has always been the same. How do we get user insights? How do we get to user insights before the decision is going to be made? And Marvin AI solves for that. Look, the challenge has always between designer and engineer has always been that designers always will would want to talk to the users. That's the soul of what we do. With Marvin Live Intercept, the gap between the insight and decision-making finally closes, because the insight is already in the product when the decision happens. Look, AI has made it possible to build more than ever before, but the question will always remain, are we building what our users actually want? That's our responsibility as designers, right? And throughout this conference, we have heard design and taste will be the last true differentiator, and none of us would be here if we didn't firmly believe in that. But design cannot be a differentiator until we truly understand who we are designing for. Designing is always going to be a human-centered process, right? And even in the world of AI and synthetic users, nothing will be as impactful as our ability to talk to our users to build truly great products. The question is, can we keep that human-centered approach in the world of AI and still move at the pace our engineers and our product team expect us to? Look, engineers, as a former engineer, I can tell you, we don't have to talk to users, right? So we don't have those human factors slowing us down, but designers will always, always, always need to talk to users, right? That is not going to change, and I'm going to sit here and say it shouldn't change, right? If we are building products without talking to our users, we are doing something wrong. So Marvin AI lets you talk to users in the moment, specifically when you need them. And there is something magical about being heard, especially being heard when you need to be heard. So I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I promise that'll be the last slide. My friend Marvin was demoing this product at the booth, and a designer came up to her, and she started talking to her. Marvin started showing the AI moderator. And then she said, hey, my English isn't super great. Can this thing talk to me in Spanish, right? And then the AI caught that, and it started speaking to her in Spanish. And I kid you not, we were all there. The designer, had tears in her eyes, right? I don't know if you have ever been in a place where if you feel like because of language barriers or because of other things, you're not being heard. And that's a lot of times our users kind of feel, right? It's our responsibility to give them that voice. It's our responsibility to make sure that they feel like they're getting heard when they need to be heard, right? So what we're launching today removes every barrier to put human front and center, and our ability to listen to every user when they need to be heard. We are calling it one researcher per user. That's the future we're building towards, where we can finally match the pace of your engineers without leaving your users behind. Check us out at our booth. I'm around if you have any questions. If you want some plushies, we're right there in the booth area. And Godspeed. May you all build the most human-centric product in a world that's dominated by AI. Thank you very much.